Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Please visit audiblepodcast.com/wizard for your free audiobook download.
Oh, yeah.
13.
The Ides of November.
And this is Idle Thumbs 133.
Ides old
You said
thumbs.
132.
Oh my god, it's 132.
It's 132.
Okay.
It's November.
You just want me to make confused face.
You know what it is, Chris?
What, Jake?
Bow, bow.
God. Gets me so close to Ace Ventura 2.
Yeah, you just want to say Chicago.
You just want to say Chicago.
Bow, bow.
Alrighty then.
Games, video 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 games, video. Video game.
It's November 13th, 2013.
This is Idle Thumbs
132.
132. I'm Chris Freeman.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
I'm Sean Vanneman.
And I'm Nick Brecken.
Whoa!
Whoa.
The gang's all here. The
And
whole
we
family.
are surprised at everyone being here.
Yeah.
It's been a long month, you guys.
Jeff Green was here. That was
Jeff
nice.
Green.
It was good.
Zach Johnson.
Yes.
Yep.
Nick Brecken was
Jick.
here.
I was.
You were here for one of the days.
One of
last
those
month.
times.
Yeah. How's everyone doing?
Really good.
Good.
Yeah.
We just played Foiled.
Yeah, that game is really good, actually. So we were recommended this game by Bennett Foddy, who made Quap and GURP and Pole Riders. All of those games are excellent for very different reasons, especially Quap and Pole Riders. And Pole Riders is...
GURP burn. I know.
GURP is not that good. Right? I mean, it's good.
Who's with me on this, right? Fuck GURP.
It's good, but it's not great. It's no Quap. It's no Pole Riders.
It's not, but it's GURP. GURP.
It's GURP. It's not great.
Oh my god, what are we doing? So, he made those games.
Anyway, the reason it's relevant is because Pole Riders is of the style of game that is kind of typified by the Superfriends PS3, PC kind of collection. Kind of local multiplayer, really fast-paced head-to-head stuff. And he has a student named Gabriel, I think Cutzilo, I can't remember his name exactly, who developed a game called Foiled with one other person, an artist. And it's really, really good. It's kind of like Nidhogg in that it's a head-to-head like fencing game.
Like swordplay stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
swordplay game, yeah. But with a couple more mechanics than Nidhogg, there's a really fast-paced vertical dive where you press a button and you just, like, in a split second, shoot downwards.
It's like a Mario butt pound.
It's like a Mario Bros.
Yeah.
I think Link actually has that move as his down sword move in Super Smash Brothers.
Hold on to that.
Right. Someone, Jake, you were saying someone described it as like
It's like Nidhogg plus Smash Brothers, like kind of. But it
Yeah.
also like
Yeah.
it's
the way,
more on the Nidhogg side.
the way that the wall climbing stuff
wall jump
works though is
That
more
stuff
like
feels
Super
very
Meat Boy or
smart.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you employ it. I guess you don't really do too many wall slides in Super Smash Brothers. You just do that to save your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot
No,
of
it's
really
more.
double
It's
jumps.
it's
Smash.
Yeah, 'cause
Smash
this game has
Brothers
single
meets
jump.
Super Mario. I mean, Super Meat Boy meets
Yeah.
Nidhogg.
That's a good
it's-
meets. That's an
Yeah.
appealing meets. And one of them involves meat.
Meats.
It's really good. One of the things I really like about this style of game as compared to a traditional fighting game or even something like Smash, which is closer to this but still not the same, is that these games, you can learn all the mechanics like in 2 seconds. Like
Right. Yeah.
Within 5 seconds of picking up the controller, we basically were pretty fluent at playing the game. Obviously, there's all kinds of like advanced tactical shit and like weird nuances that would take longer to figure out. But just on the base level of like, I'm immediately jumping around the level like crazy, doing crazy dives, like doing all the things that you basically do in the game, is really quick to that point. And that's one of the things I see as sort of a hallmark of this style of game. You know, Nidhogg and Pole Riders and Hokra and all that stuff. Tenez, like those kind of lo-fi, really fast-paced head-to-head games. I think that's a thing they share that I think is really, really good. It makes them really good for playing in a group atmosphere because you don't have that sensation you often get with the traditional fighting game of like the guy who just doesn't know how to play it is just like, well, I'm obviously just going to lose constantly. I don't know. It's really good. It feels very well tuned, and it was made in fucking Game Maker. Again, it's amazing to me what people make in Game Maker. You know, because it doesn't feel like, just at first glance, you wouldn't assume it's the kind of environment where you can make a really highly tuned, like pixel perfect game. But obviously, people do.
Gunpoint has that same sort of feeling.
Yeah, and the original Spelunky.
Hotline Miami, the original Spelunky.
Oh, yeah. Hotline Miami is the one that I forget.
I know.
Yeah.
So that one's the most extreme, I think.
Yeah. All the weird like camera bending and color bending
Yeah.
stuff that you just don't.
Bonkers.
It doesn't feel like
Yeah.
a sprite game.
But yeah, this game is really good. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's awesome. I want to play a lot more of it.
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
Feels like one of those you would fire up and lose a couple hours in with some friends,
some friends.
or just a friend. Yeah,
Passing the controller around.
Yeah.
Like, it's
It makes
really
me
good.
want.
it will be a time suck at the office. I can already.
Yeah, because Sports Friends, they labeled Sports Friends 2013, and I think they probably did that partly as a joke
that was
about
a little
sports games.
tongue-in-cheek, yeah.
But this game already just makes me want Sports Friends 2014.
Right.
That has this and like three other things in it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, totally.
I want more people to make games like this because they're fucking fun.
Well, I love that I mean, one of the things that's so amazing about the specific period of games we're in right now. Oh, sorry, go
Before
ahead.
you make your point, it's worth pointing out that unlike a lot of games like this, Foiled is actually free
done
and
free.
gettable.
and
Yeah.
gettable. You can just go to foiledgame.com, play it. Unlike a lot of these, it also comes out of the box with 360 controller support, so you don't need to deal with joy to key or anything like that. You just have two controllers and it goes. Like it has a lot going for it that a lot of these don't. That are usually more rough, I guess, until Sports Friends actually finally ships. Anyway,
I just
sorry,
can't imagine being like. Sorry, another
go
point.
ahead, please.
I can't imagine
we're chaining these.
when I was. I think of the
think
way
you're
I
gonna
used
make
to
the
sit
similar
around
point
at
that I
TV
was.
when I was like 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
And we would play like local head-to-head stuff all the time. I can't imagine the fact that I could be 12 or 13 right now and find this game
this,
online for free. Like free at that age is such
Yeah.
a bigger difference than it is to me now. Like I have way more financial commitments now, but free versus like $5, push.
Right.
Free versus $5 when you're 12 is like
it's amazing.
$1 million.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can just play this all winter with your buddy. Like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep.
You were going to say?
That's actually very similar
Yeah.
to what I was going to say. Yeah. I feel like in a way that wasn't true 10 or like even 5 years ago, right now we're living through an era where the stuff that the ecosystem that surrounds you in games, if you're like growing up and getting into games, is amazing. Like it's amazing right now. At least it feels that way to me. Like I mean, there's a lot of dumb shit out there, as there always has been, but like the possibility to find really good stuff that is really cheap.
I imagine
from
it's,
like
if you're a kid who's tuned into that stuff, probably.
but a lot of kids are now.
Yeah.
Because that stuff is just on the internet
Yeah.
where everything is.
I feel like Minecraft was
Yeah,
sort of like, oh, it's a
exactly.
game I
Minecraft
download on the
unleashed-
internet that isn't advertised to me
Every
during
kid
television
uses
hour.
Minecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of them are
All
on the
kids.
360, though, is what I was going to say about that.
That was probably true, yeah. But speaking of that reminds me. One of my coworkers was telling me her son is like 8, and he, like, you know, all of his friends basically is super into Minecraft. He just plays Minecraft all the time, and because of that, he also just like watches commentary videos all the time on the internet because that's such a common method of expression now on the internet, is like making vlogs and shit and like let's plays and just putting videos on YouTube. It's like a really weirdly a huge way of people to like just get themselves out there. And she said she would like, her son would be in his room with the door closed and she would hear him like saying things. She's like, what is that? And she would open the door and he would just be playing a game and just narrating it to nobody in a British accent.
Oh my
Because
God.
That's just what you find on the internet, is just British men with YouTube channels commenting on games. Like that is such a prevalent thing. Like there are so many of those guys at this point that it makes up a significant enough percentage of like just what her son finds on the internet.
love it.
That he now has just
You're a happy baby.
internalized that. I love it. And that is just to him, like that's how you like play a game and enjoy it and appreciate it and internalize things about it.
That will probably
You talk
serve,
about it in an English
other than
accent.
the social maladjustment from that, but other than that, I think that will probably serve him well later in life, because being able to like narrate what you're
Externalize your
doing.
thoughts.
Yeah, externalize like that is very valuable and not a human.
I thought you just meant the British accent.
But
We'll serve him in a
also-
bar later in life.
That kid's gonna get laid.
That's actually where I thought you were going. Anyway, continue.
Wow, how dare you?
I don't know.
That's where you peg me now? Like what?
I don't know.
All I was
I
going to
mean,
say is I
it's-
can't believe you've done this, so I've got nothing.
I can't believe you've done
I can't
this.
believe you've done this.
That's what he
Ah,
was.
fuck.
That's what he was saying over and over again while playing Minecraft.
Yeah, but that was a mind-blowing thing. I never, like, that would have never occurred to me. But anyway, yeah, the broader thing I was saying, I think that when you look at the games that are available, that are totally, like, comprehensible for a kid to play. I mean, there's weird, like, totally obscure, like, nonsense out there, like Crusader Kings, that is more accessible than it ever has been. But there's also just a huge range of games in, like, every conceivable genre
Right.
that are super affordable and super available. I think that's amazing. I think it's just really incredible. And I also think it's just better. I think it's just making games better right now. I mean, I think the range of things that are feeding into game design right now is, like, really encouraging and cool. And this entire category of game, I think, is a super great.
It's weird to think about, just even relative to when we started this podcast.
yeah.
Sort of the things that we would lament about the way that games work and even the way the indie scene worked relative to now. It's I don't know. It's not what I was expecting.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't ever predict it, obviously, but it's awesome. It's really exciting. I haven't. There's
Who would predict a world where kids play Minecraft alone in their bedrooms, speaking with British accents? The future of gaming is bright, gentlemen.
Yeah, the IGF judging has started, and I haven't started playing them yet, but I'm really
Stipulation:
excited to
you
do
must
so.
narrate your experience with a British accent.
Yes. Well, you know what's funny about that is that's what I do now, just not with the British accent, but like every single day.
'Cause you're playing
I fucking
Spelunky,
talk along with
so-
Spelunky. and
Man,
put a video on the internet.
But okay, even when you're not recording, you don't do it.
Oh, no,
Because
I don't.
that is also just the road to becoming an old man who's sitting there playing the game, just going, "Crap,
yeah,
fucking
Gotta
garbage."
get that cactus.
yeah,
gotta watch
no,
out for that cactus. But
just-
there are frogs coming at me.
trash.
Just, we gotta,
And then like racial remarks start slipping in. Like, yeah,
oh man,
you look down and you're just wearing like a sweaty.
robe.
like an adult diaper,
No, like a.
like a bow tie.
No, like a tank top. Like a tank top for some suspenders
yeah.
only and the
Oh,
robe.
okay.
Yeah, just like nothing.
Yeah.
I can see Chris. Yeah, it's not too
Just
far
gone
off.
trash.
Thanks, Sean. This is
trash.
the episode where we make weird implications about each other. Apparently,
Yeah.
I played this iPad game on the airplane
yeah?
for 5 hours with Amelia called Device 6.
oh, I've heard that's really good.
It's fucking great.
Oh man, I should.
5 hours is way longer than it takes to beat this game.
Yeah, I've heard it's like a couple hours. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fucking fantastic. He can lean on the table. He's not going to thump the table. He's
What
all
am
right.
I doing with the table?
All right.
He's all right.
Thumper.
If you hear this, it's because Nick's elbow has dropped on the table.
I'm not dropping elbows.
No, you're fine.
Yet. Device 6.
Yeah, it's by
Game title as Threat.
I'm not dropping elbows yet. Device 6.
So people should listen to Nick and Chris's most recent Spelunky stream, the Sunday evening Spelunky stream, if you want to know why we're being as dumb as we're being. Anyway, go ahead.
That's not the real reason. The real reason is we're fucking idiots. I mean, like, that's not going to explain. That's going to explain a very small.
Sorry, if you want to watch
of-
3 hours of
Yeah.
Spelunky interspersed with about an hour of the Oh Yeah music video,
Yeah.
you should watch that live stream.
Oh, I needed that explained to me because I didn't watch that.
You just walked in here and we're just all going, oh.
I just thought it was like a new fucking thing that you guys had found. It's like, yeah, it's that song from 1995. Fantastic.
1987, in fact,
Excuse me.
or even
Sorry.
earlier. Maybe I think there was a re-release in '87.
Oh no, it had to have been. Yeah, yeah. 'cause it was in Ferris Bueller. It was in Ferris Bueller. Yeah, yeah.
4 maybe.
Yeah. I was just like, oh, good. You guys fucking found a new thing that I'm gonna have to fucking deal with for a week.
No, it's because Nick and Chris found that thing. There's like a solid hour of the Spelunky stream where the Spelunky stream where they put the two monitors up, and on one monitor is Nick dying in Spelunky. Also, your triumphant run for a while there, and then the other monitor
true.
is
It's
just
always
the
nice
Oh
in
Yeah
there.
music video on loop in perpetuity. It was a good stream.
That's quality television, guys. It's
Yeah,
Fucking
it was really great.
yeah.
Goddamn right it was.
It synced up amazingly well at times.
Yeah.
It did.
Do something cool, and the guy would say beautiful. Do something even better, and the guy would say even more beautiful.
Wow.
You die, and he would say, "Oh yeah."
So I don't even need to watch it now.
You die
Those
again.
are basically the only possible things to sync up because that's the only thing they say in that song. So
Oh no, that's not
There's
true.
the sun.
Sometimes you would be doing something random, and he would say the sun.
that's true.
Sometimes you would maybe like jump, and he would say the moon. Sometimes he would say, "Oh yeah."
Frequently, I would say frequently he would say, "Oh yeah."
I would say frequently. He would say, "Oh yeah." It was a call and response on the stream.
Yeah, well,
I'm done talking for the rest
It
of the
sounds like
stream.
you're reading like a court transcript. He said, "Oh yeah, the sun, the moon, beautiful." Like what?
This is Yello versus the state of Nebraska.
Anyway, device
Anyway,
6.
Device 6. I
Yeah.
heard it's a good game.
Nick issued that device 6 threat, and it was carried out.
Sorry, go ahead, Sean.
Sean looks like, what do you want?
Oh no, Sean's just doing the thing that I did 2 weeks ago, where I just didn't say anything, and he let the rest of the podcast
He is.
unravel into
Try to listen to that podcast.
Yeah.
I heard about that.
No, I want to hear about device 6.
It's hard to explain without giving the joy of the game away, but it's one part adventure game, one part text adventure that uses all aspects of the iPad to be good.
You like type on the keyboard to like.
You don't type in. No. But I mean, it's
Like a
text
twine game.
adventure in that you're reading it.
Yeah, it's closer to like it's got
Like
it's
a twine game.
Some graphic stuff and some
Sure,
sort
but you
of
don't
twine
actually
style
make.
stuff.
Yeah. There's no twine stuff. It's just literally you're reading the story and coming up against puzzles and to continue onward.
How are the puzzles actually interacted with though? Are they actually
they
visual?
graphic?
move
Yeah, they're like
stuff
visual.
around?
Like it looks.
okay,
It looks
okay. So
like
it's
there's.
a graphic adventure game.
Yeah, for
Except-
sure. Except like you're okay. Imagine you're
It
reading
gives
a
you text
novel.
in prose form, and then you
Yeah.
encounter an
Okay.
event.
But you sometimes are reading a passage of a novel that goes left to right, like 10 iPad screens in one thin sentence, and then you'll find a puzzle that, like, if you scroll up down a dotted line path, it's like reading is like walking.
Yeah, so it's
so
like-
you'll hear
like
footsteps
presentational
while you're
novel.
reading.
Like, yeah, that's
So you're going like, oh, she walked down the path and into the garden. You hear like crunch, crunch, crunch. You'll like hear her footsteps, and then sometimes you have to backtrack all the way to the beginning
Yeah.
to find information that you use later. It's very good, and it's one of those things that made me realize that good puzzle design is so fucking hard.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It's so hard because the puzzle design in this game is so good that thinking about trying to make a game like it is painfully is like daunting.
Right.
You just wouldn't. I would just curl up and cry trying to do it because it's very, 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 very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should really play it.
So what? I'm curious. Like you said, you played it for like 5 hours, but it only takes a couple hours.
I got
to
stuck.
Oh. So it wasn't that you kept playing it again, or
But
something.
it was one of those things where it's like it
That's
was
just part of
the
playing an
same.
adventure game, though.
Yeah, but so often when you play an adventure game, it's not compelling enough to deal with being stuck.
Sure. Yeah.
But there were those games. I mean, there was a couple of the LucasArts games early on where you would get stuck and just noodle on it in your head, and we would put the iPad down and like do something else and talk or whatever.
Like on the plane.
Yeah. And then I'd think, oh shit, I have an idea. You know.
Oh yeah. And then you go back in the game.
and then you do it and be like, beautiful.
Yeah, and
you
then
look out the plane
and then I
window and
got
see
up
the
and
sun.
I walked into the cockpit and I just flew the plane to the fucking ocean to end.
And then a guy said, "Oh yeah," as it crashed, and it was poignant.
I don't know if that's
weren't
what
there.
happened. It was really
out
loud
by
because all
that
the people were
point.
screaming. and
Oh, because all the people were saying, "Oh yeah," as it was going
that
down.
might have been it.
So you couldn't tell if someone was if it was a recording or if it was the
Yeah,
My Coast Guard fishing your body out, saw the moon, and said, "Oh, the moon."
And I was like, why am I alive to
And
hear
then the
this?
guy was like, "Oh, device 6."
I know how to solve this puzzle.
The sort of aesthetics and theme of the story are kind of it's got like a 60s sort
It's
of
like a
thing going on.
60s spy vibe, but you referenced The Prisoner.
The Prisoner,
which
yeah,
I've never, which I'm not familiar with.
I only know of The Prisoner as the thing that's been on the list of things I need to watch forever, but it's
So I watched it a few years ago.
Yeah.
weird. It's like 60s
cool.
or 70s
I liked
show
it.
about a guy on an island and he's a prisoner there, but he doesn't know anything about what's going on.
Oh,
and
so
it's all-
yeah, that's what it is.
Okay. It's
yeah.
very much themed around the prisoner.
Yeah, except you're a lady.
Oh,
It's great. It's really good. You can get it. It's get it on an iPad. I guess it's only on an iPad. Maybe you can play it on iPhone.
it's on iOS devices.
Yeah, I played it on iPad. It was fucking good. It's really
By the
really
dudes
great.
who made Yearwalk, right?
Guys who made Yearwalk. Yeah. which I was not as into as this. I thought Yearwalk was compelling and like really good looking, and I was happy that they made it and I bought it, but I didn't really like adore it the way when I finished Device 6. Like Amelia was like, "Is there another one?" And I was like, "I don't think there is." Like having to tell her like, "No." She's like, "Well, why isn't there?" It's so funny because for her, it's like there's just. It's this,
why hasn't Apple made more of these games?
It's the content size where there's just more of this shit, right? Like, well, is there anything like it? It's like, no, I've literally never played anything like this. Ever. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We can play, and like...
You can get Amelia to play Blackbar, maybe, which is not like it at all, but at least it's
we
like
played Blackbar. Yeah, I mean, she liked Blackbar.
Blackbar is a game by Nevin Morgan, who's the guy who made that game The Incident, which is another iOS game, but Blackbar is...
He works of the guy, but
he works at Panic.
He works at Panic. But Blackbar is basically...
Oh, you'd like it.
Blackbar is basically just Mad Libs, but there are only specific answers. So it's a story about... So it's kind of puzzle solving, but it's more like inferring... You're given a series of correspondence between two people
in a dystopian future.
In a dystopian future where things are censored out, and you have
Yeah.
to unredact them contextually.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But and there's sometimes a
continue the
very
story.
specific word that works, and sometimes
it could be...
you can just put it different things. But then I think I only got like I think a third of the way into that game, but it made me wonder if my filling that stuff in was at some point becoming inaccurate by way of the game allowing me to fill stuff in, but it's mostly just an experience of reading the story, I think.
Yeah, but it's definitely a puzzle game. It's like a word puzzle game.
Yeah.
Because you can end up trying to figure, okay, I need like a 7-letter word that I know.
Sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, you'll like it. Mr. New York Times crossword man. You will enjoy it very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blackbar is really good.
Cool. Yeah, it's like thematically the
Man,
closest thing I can think of.
the App Store sucks. It sucks so hard. Sorry. I just think like those are two
We
good...
all stopped talking 10 minutes ago, apparently, and
Like-
Sean has just gone insane.
No, those are two games that are good.
Yeah.
That I don't know how you... I mean, actually, Device 6 was featured, but that's how
Device 6 got a little pickup,
That's why
I
I
think.
bought it. But there's no way to like
Yeah.
fucking shop
No,
for a
no,
thing.
there really isn't. There's definitely no way to do that.
Like I can't think
Not
of
me- not
anything else
meaningfully,
I buy where I can go shopping for. I hate to go shopping, but I can go shopping and find the thing that I'm looking for.
Right.
Anything else
Yeah.
except apps on that goddamn store pisses me off. Anyway, that's
The
it.
Xbox Marketplace is not great
pretty-
either.
No, I mean they're all
I mean,
the
Steam
same.
is one of the only good digital
It's
games
still not great.
storefronts. It's better than the other ones.
Yeah, it's better than the
yeah,
other ones, but just by virtue of having more shelf space, I think, or I don't know.
No, because
I think it's
me.
organized better.
the way Steam...
The way they everything, like anything you can filter down to, has like the 3 different charts of like new releases
Yeah.
and top sellers and like specials and stuff. And
Also,
then
they
all the
aggressively
different-
cross-link everything against your friends list. The way that works
Yeah.
is really good, where you can look at a game and then it says 15 of your friends play this, and you can also see if they're playing it now, and you can see what else they own. And
I just
stuff.
don't.
Like,
I
it's-
don't go buy classic stuff ever on Steam.
Even when it's
Hardly
new
ever.
releases, I go, "Oh, this looks interesting." Maybe it doesn't, but it always like. I have a stupid friends list at this point because I just added a ton of people through Idle Thumbs and work and stuff. But now it's
Also, the way
it works like Newegg reviews to me for a certain degree. Where I can
Right,
look at a
yeah,
game and if
yeah.
there's just like 30 squares on there, it's like, oh, I should probably at
also
least pay attention to this.
Also, the way that sales work on the sort of PC storefronts, like Steam, obviously, I think makes discoverability of older stuff easier as well.
Right.
Like, it's just better integrated into those like overall.
Yeah, there's no
environments.
concept of that on the App Store.
Yeah,
really.
exactly.
Yeah,
like they have like
You can go on the Steam
features,
store and
but
see,
that's
like,
not
whatever.
really helpful most of the time.
BioShock 2 will show up after multiple
Yeah,
years
you're
on
like,
the front
I think
page.
that seems like I should play that, and then you know, you
Yeah.
know,
Did you guys see the Humble Bundle
Yeah, the
launched
new
a
Humble
store
Bundle store,
today?
Yeah,
yeah.
Humble Store.
It was good.
Yeah.
A lot of good games on there for cheap.
yeah.
I think Crusader
one of
Kings
the
is on
things-
there for like $6.
One of the things that was interesting about it
Yeah.
is they launched with like 9 games only.
They're launching it in the way that they do all their stuff, right? Where they're saying for 24 hours, this is the Humble Bundle store.
but
Then
what's
tomorrow,
weird? But what's weird about that is that presumably those things after that sale is over will just stay being sold just for a regular price.
right? But I think they're just trying to get like a week of
no,
launch
I know,
of
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
It's just it's a funny way to launch a store because no one has ever like no one would ever launch a store that way except for them because
Right,
their
and
model
fits
is
their
so
brand,
focused
yeah.
on
Yeah.
you know crazy sales.
I really like those guys. I
Yeah,
don't
they're
know.
cool.
Yeah, I think that what they're doing is really cool.
Chris, we were talking about this the other day, and there's not a lot to say, but it's nice to see another like Humble has sort of snuck their way into being a huge player inside of the
Yeah.
PC games space, just because every indie game developer ever uses their store widget, and every price conscious Steam customer has also probably bought something in a Humble Bundle. So it's cool to see another straight up storefront showing up because I don't know. I think Steam would benefit from having more people making them have to compete against them.
I totally agree. There's a couple funny symbiotic things going on between those two companies, even though they're definitely competitors. One is that every single game currently on sale in the Humble store, all 9 of them or 10 or whatever it is,
or they have Steam keys,
are sold via Steam key. Like some of them also have DRM free builds, but they're all just Steam keys that the developers presumably just gave a bunch of keys to Humble individually, because Valve doesn't Valve lets you just generate as many keys as you want as a developer. The other funny thing going in the other direction is that I feel like, just speaking from a developer's perspective, Humble has been by far the single biggest force in causing, like, in speeding up Linux adoption by developers. Like I know, and it's interesting to me that Valve probably in a lot of ways will indirectly benefit from that with SteamOS, because so many developers, in order to be featured in a Humble sale, have made their games available on Mac and Linux, especially on Linux. I mean, Mac more often, but I mean, especially when they wouldn't have otherwise on Linux.
And the other weird way that I feel like these companies have a relationship that is not just Humble giving Steam keys is the entire Steam Greenlight community is fueled through Humble sales, it feels like. Like anything that's listed in the Greenlight area that is also for sale
for a widget.
is sold in the Humble widget, which then gives you a Steam code once the game is through Greenlight. Like there's it's these weird and also GOG exists, but I don't.
GOG feels a little more separate to that whole thing.
Yeah.
Because GOG's whole...
I've never bought a game through GOG.
GOG's whole... I've bought some games through GOG, but GOG's whole thing is that their games are explicitly DRM free, which kind of takes them out of the sort of Steam ecosystem thing that those other ones are part of, because like every GOG game you get is basically a zip file, which is cool. And the people who are like super hardcore GOG people, like that's what they want. But it feels very separate from the other. Whereas Humble and Steam feel like they're doing different things that end up sort of cross-pollinating. With each other.
I was just obviously I don't think any of us has any idea what Valve thinks about all this crap. But it was the thing that it made me think about was what Gabe Newell was saying about going from Greenlight to whatever they're talking about next, which sounds like it's like ad hoc storefronts where anyone can conceivably open up a custom. Either custom, like...
I think that's actually a few steps down the line.
I know, they keep talking about it, though, as sort of the destination they want is...
It would be like the wholesaler versus like a retail store.
Like it would like start sort of at their Amazon.com, then you can become Amazon sellers, but then it would also turn into basically their Humble, and you can list your game through the Steam API and publish whatever you want, and it would just be carried. And at that point, the Humble store is going to be weirder than it is right now. Like, it's like... That made me think that if that's where Valve sees their trajectory as, that plus like SteamOS stuff, they probably don't care that Humble has a store running that's selling Steam keys.
Right.
Because it's just sucking people into what is eventually just going to be a thing where they can all replicate the Humble store if they really want anyway as a web developer. I don't know. It's everything in PC games is fucking weird right now, I guess. And cool.
It is. It's weird. It's interesting how...
Just wait till they try to monetize it, though, and fuck it up.
That's one of the things that's so like amazing and interesting and good about it, is that all that stuff on the PC gaming side is just sort of inherently monetized. Like all that
you're
stuff
buying a product.
Yeah, like it's all that stuff is based around just selling you something, which is cool. I mean,
but it's social shit still creeps in.
Oh no, for sure.
Get some of those badges.
But it's the exact reverse relationship. It's like the social stuff is like weirdly creeping onto the basic underlying model of just a person who made something selling something to someone else. In the other case, it's like we made a thing that's predicated on social stuff. Now we're going to sneak money into it, which I feel like is more destructive. Like I feel like that is. I don't know.
It just makes people who really enjoyed it at the beginning more cynical.
Yeah. Did that guy who said he would write in about Steam economy stuff write in?
No. Yeah, let's look.
Because we were talking about Steam economy stuff last week a little bit, and just
I love it.
It was
still paying for my games.
It was
apparently it goes way deeper than any of us know. Like apparently it gets like Russian mafia deep.
Well, go on.
We told the guy to write in, and he was like, "Oh, it'd be easier to explain in person." And I'm like, "No, please write in."
Right. Meet me in a parking garage.
Exactly. I can't talk about it over the internet. But he basically started off with the reminder that any possible transaction you could think that Valve would take a cut of, Valve obviously takes a cut of. So like they monetize a lot of stuff in there. But anyway, I don't know.
How you been, Nick?
Yeah, I was about to ask you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, look crazy. I'm playing a lot of NBA 2K14 right now.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah.
With what team?
The Heat.
What the fuck?
I knew. I'll tell you why. So I don't play a lot of sports games, but when I do,
I only play the best. I only play as the best fucking team.
Yeah, I'll pick it.
I'm playing the new Tour de France.
Wait, did you just get away?
2006.
It sounded like you were about to explain why, and then you just kind of snuck out of it.
Literally, that's like playing a cycling game in the mid 2000s and be like, I only play as Lance Armstrong. I don't know. It's not fun with anybody else.
I play Ken Griffey baseball. I play as Ken Griffey. Yeah.
Did you ever play Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey?
I did. You know what I did?
Was fucking
so my
good.
dad is really into hockey, and I have this vivid memory of calling my dad into the basement.
Your dad probably hated it because it wasn't branded NHL.
No, not. Well, I mean, do you remember that game?
Yeah, it was a cartoony.
It was. Well, it was not only cartoony. It had the shader, like the.
It had like a weird toon shader thing.
It had but it had the puck highlighter.
Yeah.
It had like the Fox Sports.
It had like the crazy Fox Sports thing, which at the time was something that was being broadcast.
Yeah.
Where they would just like rotoscope, like auto rotoscope the puck and have like a little highlight.
I thought they'd actually gone and made an agreement where they put a little stupid tracking thing inside of the puck because they couldn't rotoscope it in time. But whatever.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. But
that was the era of things glowing red.
Yeah, it was terrible. And I remember calling my dad and I'd be like, Dad, look, it's like real hockey. It's like they're 3D and they're like skating around. He was just like, I don't know what to tell you, son. I can't get into it. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Like, it was just that resignation. It was just like, I just can't do it. And he walked upstairs and I was just like, but you can play. You want to play with me? All right.
And then that's...
Here you are.
Here we are.
That was it. I haven't talked to him since. That was the last time I talked to my father.
Nick Brecken's live journal.
Yeah.
No, so you're playing NBA 2K14.
You're playing NBA 2K14.
I think it's because
Just play with some fun.
Oh no, I know what you're about to say. So what I wanted to do for this, I'm
talking about the Kinect.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's not what I was going to say.
No, table that. I want to hear what you have to say.
What
That's
did you
fucking
think?
good.
What did you think he was going to say?
Oh,
I want to hear what you thought I was going to say.
No, so what I was going to say, what I wanted to do before this podcast, I'm probably going to ruin it. I'm going to ruin it. I'm gonna ruin it. What I wanted to do was go into the My Player thing and make a player called Barack Obama, and then have you play it one-on-one on the stream.
I can totally kick the shit out of that guy.
So maybe
I'll
next
play
week.
as like Kyrie Irving or something like that.
Yeah.
No, what I was going
to
to say is I found out from someone. I think this has been documented on Kotaku or somewhere, but someone I know who's reasonably close to the 2K sports team said, because we've joked about this a million times, apparently if you have a Kinect turned on when you're playing the Xbox version of 2K basketball games,
it's true.
And you swear, you get like a technical bench foul from the ref.
Yes. Yeah, no, that happens.
And people call tech support about this and they write and be like, there's no foul. But yeah, if it just hears you say, motherfucker, it'll just go, like you just get a foul. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's so
That's the
so
thing you
funny.
want everyone, like,
I know.
how did that...
Oh, it's the best. I don't know how that got through, sir. I have no idea. It's really weird.
Anyway, that's why you played it, so you could be Chris as an old man going, fucking garbage. Fucking shit. Foul. Fucking, no foul. Fucking...
Is it good? Is the game good?
Yeah, it's really good.
Why don't we play against each other?
We should.
I'll come over.
Yeah. We're into like Pierre and I think everybody's gonna buy it for like next gen or something and just play a league or something. And we're just gonna be super lame.
We're gonna play it
We're gonna be gamer dudes. I'm buying a PS4 and NBA 2K14. I'm doing it.
What?
I'm doing
I have
it.
to buy a fucking PS4 to play this thing with your crew to run.
That's how we roll. It's just how we roll, bro.
I fucking made that crew.
I know. Guess
Here's
what?
your friend because of me.
Yeah.
Chris, you're not gonna get
Don't
through
you
it.
already have it on Steam?
Huh? Yeah. Well, yeah.
So why don't you just play that? Don't you both?
Yeah.
Nick's got the glint. He's got the next gen glint.
I don't get it. Weird. Okay.
I'm gonna buy one of those consoles eventually.
Yeah, but he. I mean,
2014.
I'm not selling. I know Sean's not gonna buy one. I'm just
2014
saying
is the
that's
year
what
of the
that's
PS4. Nick will play NBA 2K14 in 2K14 on his PlayStation 4.
We can
I
also
don't
play
care
on
what
Steam.
Nick does. I was just saying
We can play on Steam.
If you're trying to get someone,
For the next
Can I play?
4
No, I'll
days.
come over and play locally, right? Can I play locally on the PS4?
Have you played what was the last 2K NBA that you actually played? Did
11.
You play? Okay, so
I actually played
Oh, so you're
11 because
into
the
these.
Jordan
I haven't
Challenge.
played NBA 2K since like
the Jordan Challenge.
Yeah,
college,
they're the
maybe.
best sports games, I think.
Really?
I don't play a lot of
I really
them,
like
but
the MLB, the league ones.
Oh, yeah?
Or the bigs, excuse me. I like those.
the bigs.
Those are good.
The big leagues, yeah.
I kind of stopped playing Madden. I have an unopened. I opened actually my Madden so I could get the DirecTV code out of
recently.
it, but I haven't played it.
Yeah. NBA is really, really well done. It's actually like, it's funny to play it not having played a sports game in a while, which is what I usually do. You know, I go a couple of years before I actually get into a sports game, and it feels like picking up any other good game if it's well done. It just feels like picking up Smash Brothers again or something and being like, oh yeah, like mechanically, this is just a video game that's really good. It just happens to be about sports. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like there's been a lot of attention to detail.
What is the lore that created this weird varnished hardwood square?
Right. Yeah.
It's a rectangle.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're right. It's a rectangle.
Anyway, yeah.
My brain always gets these subsets backwards, where in my brain, for some reason, a rectangle is a subset of a square because I'm an idiot.
You're not an idiot. You're not an idiot.
I'm just 6.
It's not your fault, Jake.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Anyway, I'm playing 2K14.
You're playing as the Heat, though?
Here's why. Because it's LeBron James branded. And you're gonna love this when you load.
You're right. That's fucking
because the special mode is like LeBron James's like trip to his dynasty, and here's the hilarious thing. So you load into this mode, and it plays a little.
So
thing.
they have like 2 million. Like, teenage boys
I know.
just grinding away to make sure LeBron James gets
you get
5
rings.
7? You gotta outdo Jordan?
It's crazy.
That's the whole thing?
Because they game it out. Like, I'm playing the Lakers in, like, 2016 right now. It's like Kobe's last shot.
LeBron's...
Like, what?
So wait, no, LeBron's 29.
Yeah.
Okay. No, he's 29 in December. LeBron has 2 rings.
Uh-huh.
So he needs
there's a little
5
ring
rings
counter
before he's 30.
that you fill in. Like, whenever you win a game, it just fills in one more ring.
They basically need to win...
It's so funny.
When 5 out of the next 8 championships.
When you start the mode...
fucking horseshit.
You're gonna love this. When you start the mode, there's a little video that plays, and it just says... It's like, basketball's really hard. Nothing comes easy. And when he says nothing comes easy...
LeBron says this?
When it says nothing comes easy, there's a fucking photo of LeBron, Bosch, and Wade standing next to each other just like holding hands. Just like, oh, nothing comes to you. You gotta work at it. It's just like, what?
So you've chosen to engage in this sincerely.
Uh-huh.
I don't mean to slight LeBron James. I think it's important.
LeBron James doesn't give a shit if you slight him or not.
I think
LeBron James
at
right
the show.
Yeah.
4 years ago he would have.
Yeah.
Now I think
he's my age.
Yeah, I know.
It's weird.
Yeah.
That's so weird. That's impossible.
Growing up, it was just weird. My dad would always remind me of that.
He's so
He'd
much
be like,
better than
that
you.
kid's your age.
Basketball.
What do you want from me?
Yeah.
Anyway. So the one reason I wanted to mention this game, though, is that I've started...
Now I beat LeBron James.
Dad.
Wouldn't play hockey with me?
No, because I've noticed playing this LeBron mode, the games are really hard.
Yeah, that was established.
I've noticed how little I am. I've noticed how little I've accomplished in my life.
It comes easy. It's just basketball's hard.
Wait, so the games are hard.
The games are really difficult to win, and
They just increase the difficulty?
yeah, basically. I mean, there's the scenarios are insane. Like the Lakers have Kobe, Carmelo, and like a bunch of other guys. They just stack the
Like
deck. These
6
weird scenarios.
cyborgs?
How is that?
They just say like, "Oh, it's weird that they got Anthony last
so
year."
As the
Like, all the
dynasty goes
commentary,
forward.
yeah, just
But
weird
Kobe's
chaos.
done.
Just spirals. Yeah, but his stats aren't in the game, right? Because he's still branded as like one of the
He's tore.
Does he age?
Is any of that stuff in there?
what the
Like the fact that
injuries
he,
and stuff.
he tore his Achilles tendon last year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it is in like the regular mode. I don't know. Anyway, the point is that they get increasingly difficult. And because the only other game that I'm playing right now is Spelunky, I've noticed that I'm basically falling into a weird trap where I'm playing this game in the exact same way that I play Spelunky.
Are you doing the NBA 2K14 daily challenge?
I'm doing the daily challenge where I start playing around, and if I get like 5 minutes in and I'm 10 points behind, I just give up and throw the controller down because I'm just not gonna make it. Like that's the hell run ain't happening. Like it's
so
just
not
fucking
how
over.
I play Spelunky at all.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just give up.
Although there is.
Oh, really? Yeah, I like to give up, too.
Yeah.
I told you this. I lay 5 bombs in
Yeah.
succession.
It's just like it's not gonna happen.
That makes sense.
I'm not coming back from this.
You guys, yeah, I can see that in you guys.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the only thing I want.
I don't do that in a daily challenge.
That seems like this thing your personalities would enable. Says
Well, no, I mean it does. It's
judgmental.
not like it's not better or worse. Like, but I mean, you guys definitely have a more like intense brand of like
I just like to be good at things, Chris.
competitiveness.
Yeah.
It exerts itself in different ways.
Yeah.
I would say.
Manifests itself in positive ways, I would say.
you,
I would say in
you are-
successful lives.
I would say you
I
like
think
to
Sean's
be good
winning
at
this
things.
argument.
I do. Yeah.
You like to be good at things. Chris likes to be great at them. I don't know what that means, but it was the only way that I could verbally one-up you.
Should we take a break?
What?
What? We're just gonna do mail.
I think we just do some mail.
Just
Right?
roll into mail.
Would LeBron James take a break?
Video games.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, Audible. You can go to audiblepodcast.com/wizard for a free audiobook download.
And a subscription trial.
Yeah. I'm recommending this week. I think I'm recommending it. The Cuckoo's Calling, actually, by J.K. Rowling / her pseudonym Robert Galbraith. Everybody probably knows the story of this.
On
Goodreads?
On your Goodreads.
I really liked it. I read it in 2 days. I was on a trip, and I described it earlier to you guys as the thing that is actually good about Harry Potter, which is well-formed characters that you kind of like being around, and a bunch of stupid shit happens to them. Mm-hmm. It's the exact same thing, except it's with adults. So there's like boning and murder.
There's boning and murder.
There's murder and boning in Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah. More beautiful.
Boning is all off screen in Harry Potter. Well, there are babies in Harry Potter, so you can surmise that people boned.
Well, and the fact that humans are alive, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But it's like on screen.
I'm sorry, they're muggles.
It's on the page.
What?
Yeah.
Is that like a goblin?
In some cases.
No, it's not.
This fucking guy. Yeah, but no, it's narrated by Robert Glenister, who I'm sure
The Cuckoo's
is...
Calling one.
Yeah, The Cuckoo's Calling. Anyway, yeah, so I read the book, but I read it on my Kindle, which will, if you get the Kindle version and the Audible version, little feature, I think we've talked about this before, they actually sync to each other.
With WhisperNet.
Which is
It's actually kind of
crazy.
amazing. Yeah.
Oh, so did you actually use that? You read for a while, then listened for a bit?
I did that with Wolf Hall, but I didn't do that with Cuckoo's Calling, because
That's got to be tougher with Wolf Hall.
Really fucking hard. I don't recommend it for Wolf Hall. I think it'd be fine with this book.
Yeah.
But yeah, check it out.
Cool. Audiblepodcast.com/wizard, and you get to keep your free book,
Yeah.
whether you keep your subscription or not.
Video games.
Jeremy Thornhill writes, Dear Thumbs, perhaps you remember discussing the console Netflix app in episode 10, The Ballad of John Riccatelli.
Oh, man, I don't want to talk about this.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't have to.
No, we can't. I know where it's going.
What?
It's called TV Chivos, right?
He says, once again, your hilarious bullshit has accurately predicted the nightmare that is the future of video games. It has been revealed that people will, in fact, get achievements and points from media apps on the Xbox One. The potential for this functionality had been mined from patents before, but this is the first confirmation I've seen of it in a real thing. During your discussion of this horrifying eventuality, Chris states that's the cheesiest, stupid shit ever. Sounds like a box quote to me. Jeremy. Sorry, Sean. Sorry.
It's only going to get better when you can cash in 10 Avengers Chivos for 10% off, like...
Thor 2.
Cheesy bread. Yeah. No, when you order from the
right,
Pizza
exactly.
Hut app.
In your Xbox sidebar that is watching the Marvel exclusive, Netflix exclusive series, you can then also get your like Thor Dr. Pepper 6-pack.
Would it be so hard for that to be bananas?
When you reblog.
Or like a box
I think
of
you meant like
oranges?
crazy.
I know.
No.
Would it be hard for that to be wild?
The answer is yes, it would be hard.
Just like a can of Dole pineapple gets...
Dole's not going to spend that money.
You don't know that.
I'm pretty sure they're not going to.
What if it's baby carrots eat them like junk food, though? Maybe they would
They would
spend
try, but they wouldn't succeed. Because you can't... Like, I don't think the way people consume those foods is as susceptible to the way people consume junk food.
I could eat like 9 bananas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. But I don't think...
Bananas are delicious.
Beautiful.
I'm not saying the bananas aren't good. Obviously, if everyone just agreed that everything that is good for you is delicious, you're not... Like, the argument you're making is meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. Like, yeah, bananas are good for you.
What if you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you get, like, a Taco Bell family pack with, like, 10 tacos, but they're all different Doritos flavors that all have wrappers of Marvel characters on them. But you only can get that by watching one of every Marvel TV show on TV in your Xbox while wearing a hat of each of those characters that you've purchased from the store that your Connect is
Then you can
recognizing.
reblog a GIF where Thor says something, and
GIF.
then it's funny. A GIF, I'm sorry. And then you get a Tumblr achievement, which is apparently now also a thing that's starting to happen.
Oh, but not on the Xbox.
On a Tumblr.
No, but I mean that would be connected.
That's
Still.
all part of the Marvel movie, the
Yeah.
Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
I think,
Remember when we were looking for offices and we ate those Dorito tacos?
Did you get any points for that?
I think
Some shame points.
if there was a QR code on it, I threw it away or ate it.
QR codes like impressed directly. Into the
Yeah, the
mold
actual
that
shell.
makes the taco
The
shell.
shell is sprayed with
expected
nacho
so much
cheese,
more
but they
out of
first
this.
have a little light adhesive that they then peel off after the nacho cheese has been sprayed to in the shape of the QR code to reveal the Cool Ranch QR code that is in the negative space of that tacos logos.
Speaking of tacos, Sarah Argadale writes, "Dear Idle Thumbs podcast, what are your favorite food puns? Thanks, Sarah Argadale."
I already told her my favorite one on Twitter.
You told her to write in about this. That's
And we
the only
would
reason I'm
taco
reading
about it.
Is because you said
Okay, well, done, and we're done.
Zoe Hart writes,
I miss you,
"Competitive
Sarah.
communities that no one ever knew existed." A couple weeks ago, you were talking about the oral history of Smash, which is a community that's still around. I thought you might be interested in hearing about a few competitive scenes that no one knew even existed while they did, unlike Smash and communities that are still around. Sorry for the poor writing. Okay, whatever. Last things
this is
first.
good.
There are still entirely different scenes of the fighting game community on the east and west coast of the U.S. that still totally exists, although it may be less pronounced. That, as an aside, was my favorite thing about the Smash documentary, was like the different styles of east and west coast players and like the rivalries that sprung up. I thought that was amazing.
Where is this documentary?
It's
This
called
was on YouTube.
The Smash Brothers. It's on YouTube. It's a documentary about the Super Smash Brothers competitive scene. That's like just.
Oh,
There's some unfortunate social shit that comes up in towards the end of it that I hadn't seen when I talked about it previously. That kind of bummed me out. But the bulk of the documentary is really good. Here's the list of games in small competitive communities. I'll be brief as possible. Just let me know if you'd like to hear any more about any individual community. Mech Assault 2, Dodgeball. What? Dodgeball was a game variant I came up with for the game on the map River City when I was 12. This was in the early days of Xbox Live, so there weren't that many people playing even the most popular games online yet. There were maybe 20 or 30 people on at a given time. Because of that, everyone had to be nice to each other or they wouldn't have anyone to play with. So I would sit in a River City team deathmatch lobby and wait for it to fill. Then I would explain to everyone the rules of the game, ask if there were any questions, and we'd play. People would usually stick around for multiple games, so eventually I started running tournaments for it. I did that on a weekly basis for about a year. Eventually, sometimes I would run into people running their own dodgeball lobbies. I thought this one was interesting, not just because I created it, but because the only thing I was able to find on the internet that even references that this game mode existed was a single thread on some obscure forum where people were getting together to play on the week that Xbox Live shut down. Man, that's really interesting because that's how the Halo zombie mode began. Like I remember playing that when it was like bubbling up out of just the community of people who just made up a game mode and you had to play it on the honor system. Like you had to just change your team if you became a zombie, and it was just everyone had to agree to play by the rules. That was awesome. That was like a really cool thing to be around for. Black and white creature battles. This one is hard to explain.
Nuts.
The creature's AI in this game paid attention to absolutely everything you did in the game. It's probably the best ever in a game in terms of learning. The issue is that you couldn't unteach it something. It also paid attention to the way you used it in fights with other creatures. There's a small community within the already small black and white community who obsessed about creating theoretically perfect creatures with perfect behaviors. They would make empty sandbox maps meant to train your creature without enemy interference, and tournaments would run where creatures would battle each other. It was standard practice in normal multiplayer matches that when your creatures began a fight with one another, you wouldn't directly control it. The only way to ensure that either player wasn't controlling their creature was for both players to be holding an object, usually a tree. So since the camera zoomed in on the creatures when they initiated combat, there would always be two giant ominous hands holding trees directly above them. The image always makes me smile. I haven't really looked, but I highly doubt any record of this one exists since the black and white servers, forums, and community sites went down. God, that's fascinating. That's like
really weird.
setting up weird Skinner boxes for these creatures to turn them into fighting machines.
It's really nice that Twitch exists now because a lot of these things are actually going to be archived. Even if their infrastructure is gone, someone will be able to say, oh, that one
totally.
match.
Right.
Like stuff like Boiler, the Binding of
Isaac
League
speedrun
Racing.
community. Yeah.
By the way, someone really needs to start that for Spelunky. Like, that should be a thing that happens every single day on Twitch, is people doing head-to-head Spelunky Daily Challenge runs where they can't see each other, but the people watching can see both of them side by side.
Where there's a synced, like, 3, 2, 1
Yeah,
head
and they're
start.
playing the exact same map. Like, that needs to happen. That is obviously
Yeah, we're talking
awesome.
about that on the stream. Yeah.
That should definitely happen.
Like a
Someone
spoiler?
needs to make that.
Yep.
Oh, spoiler?
Yes.
Good, Jake.
No, I said spoiler to make it worse. But
Oh, good. It was worse. Monster Rancher 2 and 3. This is the oddest of the bunch during the way the tournaments were facilitated, and surprisingly, probably had the largest community of all of them. The community site is still around too, though much different. I'll get to that in a second. Remember the PS2 Max Drive? I do not. This was probably the only reason a single one was ever purchased. People would upload their battle-hardened monsters, and a tournament organizer would download all the entries. Typically one per player per tournament. Usually matches were best of 3. A standard bracket would be set up, and in one night, or sometimes more in the style of a league, once a night or week, AI versus AI matches would be played. The person organizing the tournament would then give a colorful play-by-play of how each match went. This is actually how people were informed about early StarCraft Brood War matches as well. People would share raising and training techniques, dissect the code line by line, and write and share text files you could burn onto your CDRs to get whatever creature you wanted without CD hunting. Like I said earlier, the community site is still up, but in 2005 or so, the site was hacked by one of the more troublesome community members, and literally everything was deleted and the site closed. It came back up, but most of the information was lost, and since the community temporarily had nowhere to go and no explanation, most of it died.
It's just the library, the great library fire of...
Remember when Zach was on and we were talking about internet permanence?
Yeah.
Yeah, everything that guy just said, I think, is really interesting in terms of
totally.
You think that things exist because the internet exists.
Because of the cloud.
They absolutely do not, which is really
destroyed
crazy.
by one arsonist.
Yeah.
There's actually some really juicy drama surrounding the early days of League of Legends and the Dota community site that's quite similar. I can share if you're interested, but this is already longer than I intended. There's a lot of examples here.
Yeah.
Devil May Cry 3 and 4 and TSP.
Oh, God, yeah. This just gets nuts.
Okay. So you read all these?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another single-player game with a tournament community. This one has a decent record considering the nature of the competition. TST stands for True Style Tournament. Devil May Cry was a very mechanically demanding action game focused on coming up with creative or stylish combos. What better way to see who was the best than was the subjective competition judged by the competitors themselves? What? It was an annual competition spanning 4 years, multiple games, and with each round having different qualifications. YouTube was around, but the moves were just uploaded to an FTP server initially. It wasn't bracketed, but there were rounds, with each round eliminating the worst of the competitors' submissions. One round might be Devil May Cry 1, the next Devil May Cry 3, or maybe a freestyle where no editing is allowed. Not only did you have to play the game well technically, but you had to choreograph your combos, control your camera in a cinematic fashion, and edit your video well. Even though the tournaments aren't run anymore, most of the best players still put together videos. There's a very good, short-written history of the tournament itself on the TST site by the main organizer you should definitely read. I thought this deserved to be here because of the relatively small size of the competitive community. Then there's a link. phantombabies.net/TST4. Sounds like it's right up our alley. Here's one of the best current players in the world. The new Devil May Cry is very slow-paced and more cinematic, so it should be easier to tell what's going on. That's a YouTube link. Armored Core 2 AA 9-breaker 4 answer? AC will always stand for Armored Core to me. The ones had the most active community, I believe, with AC2 and Other Age generally thought to be the best of the series.
This is one person wrote this?
Yes. I know.
And knows all this?
It's crazy. This guy needs to make a documentary.
This guy's life
Was it a guy or girl?
It said Zoe, so I assume it's a girl.
Girl, yeah. Does she know anything else? Like, this is amazing. No, I'm serious. Like, she's so knowledgeable. She's like a PhD of this. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I have just focused on this one thing. Like, that's
esoteric.
That's what I know.
Gaming. Yeah.
This is incredible.
Yeah. I first heard about.
So I didn't mean it in a bad way. I'm sure she knows lots of stuff.
I know. No, I mean it's incredibly fascinating. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not gonna say what you're saying.
What? AC2 and Other Age was the most technically complex in terms of actual gameplay and mech configuration. I first heard about other people playing this game online while searching for secret weapons that were hidden in certain levels. Through that, I found a community site that had information on how to play other people online. You needed a PS2 network adapter and a tunneling program that had a built-in lobby chat system to spoof a LAN. I don't know the name of that,
fake.
though. No, that's totally because I did that with Halo 1.
No, I mean the whole fucking email.
Yeah, I totally did that with Halo 1, though, for sure. Later iterations had built-in multiplayer and larger communities, but I lost interest and so many of the systems became very simplified. I know they still have a very small dedicated online competitive community. This was probably the smallest community at the time I played, with there usually being 1 or 2 other people at most during the day. There were murmurs of in-person tournaments being held in Houston or Austin, Texas. I was too young and far away to travel. Other than that, the tournaments for these games were pretty standard.
But I robbed my aunt and got a bus ticket.
Yeah. Typically 1v1 and standard single elimination brackets. The community site doesn't
4 days
exist
in
any
Austin
longer.
changed my life.
So again, no record of the tournaments having taken place or the early community even exists. There are a couple people uploading relatively high-level matches for the newer games on YouTube, though like Devil May Cry, it's difficult to parse if you're unfamiliar with the series, but the game is astoundingly gorgeous regardless. One last thing I wanted to say, which I think is interesting and relevant. With fighting games as big as they are right now, there's a lot of infighting between communities, mostly mostly because the largest tournaments only have room for a specific amount of games to be played on the main stage, or the bandwidth for all games to even be streamed, but there's always side tournaments. For example, BlazBlue wasn't played at EVO despite having a very prominent online community here in the States and Japan. The online in BlazBlue is considered to be among the best for any fighting games, and I think that's part of the reason people don't travel to tournaments. They don't feel the need. The other part is that a majority of the people who play anime games like BlazBlue and Guilty Gear live in the Midwest, or are poor or too young to travel. But I was always curious about whether or not there is a correlation to better online play, meaning smaller in-person competitive community, and based on tournament entries, it seems to be at least somewhat true. I always found it interesting that the inclusion of a feature could be antithetical to the formation of a community due to lack of necessity. Anyway, sorry that was so long. But as I said, if you'd like to hear more about specifics of a game or community, then let me know. I'd be more than happy to share more. I love you, Chris. And sorry for the font. I don't know why my phone did that, and I can't change it. Okay, bye.
You wrote that on a phone?
Oh my God.
It's like in itself.
And you love Chris? I smell a rat. I love you, Chris. You are nice and handsome.
And know so much about esoteric online communities. I mean, I do. I mean, I must end this now. That was probably
that
the
is
winner of
fascinating.
Idle Thumb's email of the
chop that up,
the
and that's
show.
episode 1 of that podcast on the Idle Thumbs Network. Weird.
Hey, new podcast. We should talk about that for a second.
Oh, yeah.
Our buddy Nels and his friend, whose name I forgot. Shit.
Well, real good.
Our buddy Nels, who was on the podcast a few weeks ago, has started a podcast about the card game Netrunner, which we talked about on that episode of Idle Thumbs. It's called Terminal 7.
Oh, man. I was waiting.
And no, it's a weekly podcast about those guys' experience playing Netrunner, as well as I think they run a lot of Netrunner tournaments and stuff. They're really, really into it. So if
They talk about the metagame and stuff.
Yeah, so if you're into that card game or
think you might
want to be, check it out. If you might want to be into it, you should actually listen to Nels talk about it on this episode of Idle Thumbs a few weeks ago before you listen to Terminal 7, because that podcast goes deep really fast. Yeah. But it's at idlethumbs.net
/Terminal
7. It's pretty sweet. That reader mail talking about the early Xbox Live online scene on the original Xbox and how everyone was really friendly and nice.
Oh, they were talking. Oh, yeah, right. They were on. Yeah.
Xbox Live on the original Xbox, I think. It reminded me of an article that just went up on Polygon today. That was a really in-depth look at the creation of Xbox Live inside of the original Xbox team. It was a fucking fascinating read. It was really good, but you mostly should read it because J Allard was interviewed for that article and talks about a ton of shit. Like it's a J Allard piece. It's basically I don't know.
It's a J Allard think piece.
I didn't
J Allard gem.
I did not. I didn't show up for the Allard, but I stayed for the Allard for sure.
Yeah,
but it's a super interesting article, regardless of J Allard's
I'm
presence.
tantalized.
It talks about. I mean, it starts by talking about just sort of the ideas behind the formation of the Xbox as a piece of hardware, and how it sort of deliberately was segmented out from Microsoft culture. But then it talks about the Xbox Live team, which was also then segmented out from the Xbox team, and they were like the weird pariahs inside of the Xbox team that was the pariah because they were pushing hard for like not putting a modem in the system. They were pushing hard for like all the always on stuff and for sort of keeping, or not always on, but rather a console that is capable of just having the internet be a piece of its existence, as opposed to a weird modal thing that you had to dial into, which I think was the way that everyone thought about online before that, and just the sort of philosophies of the Live team inside of the original Xbox team at the time and now. Like, it's because a lot of the guys are the same, and they talk about sort of their relationship to Microsoft as a company now versus what it was like then. But also, J Allard is interviewed to all fuck in that piece. You should read it.
Read this.
Yeah, it's good.
Where was it again?
It's on Polygon. Yeah, it was cool. But one of the things that they were talking about was in the interview, J Allard and a couple other people were talking about when they were playing Xbox Live and playing Xbox Live and playing Xbox Live just amongst themselves as a team, and then they encountered a 40-year-old woman like voice, and they're like, who are you? And she's like, oh, I'm just playing with my kid. And they realized that like some test systems had gone out and gone live, and it was apparently like the nicest time that had ever existed on Xbox Live was that.
Oh my god!
But it was like the article.
Before the rest of the internet.
Yeah, the article
up.
doesn't talk about this, but the interview with J Allard, he's like, this was like the moment I did it. Like, we did it.
Yeah.
And then obviously you know what
no.
that actually means because of what Xbox Live became like 5 months later.
Right.
It's just it's the creation myth. It's just Adam and Eve sitting in Mech Assault. Just, I really enjoyed that match.
Yeah.
Oh my
Anyway,
God.
that article is worth checking out. And just that one moment about Mech Assault reminded me that the Xbox Live community in like its formative times was very different than it was when Halo 2 came out.
For sure. There is something really it is a very unique feeling to be part of a very small community like that. Like I mentioned briefly in that email, but I used to play Halo 1 online through like a weird tunneling thing, and you definitely got to know people through that sort of because you would like end up having to set up like Ventrilo servers and stuff, and there were so few people who played relative to like Xbox Live at large. It felt like you were doing something like outside of the normal.
Well, just by virtue of connecting to those people, you know that you all went through the legwork and investigation that it took to connect in the way you did.
There's a very specific feeling. It's hard to like explain what other thing it's like. This is a weird, dumb, specific thing, but like
it always just
it's cool.
That stuff's the same as like early like I played a lot of Quake 1 online stuff. And it's the same way as just if you have a very specific weird Quake 1 mod and then you go to the server browser and see someone else has it, you know because you've connected with this person that they're effectively in the secret club that you are in because they said, I'm interested in doing this exact very specific thing. I've done it now. I found another person and now we're sort of enjoying the fruits of our labor together as well as also playing this game. It's a cool, it's a weird experience.
Did I ever talk about Chapter Honor on this podcast? This was a Quake 1 mod that I played in like the late 90s when I don't really know how to date it relatively to other things, but yeah, late 90s. It was a Warhammer 40K mod of Quake 1 that this guy,
I think you have talked about this,
codenamed Fireball, made. Yeah, and it was crazy because it was a relatively small community, but there was a ton of like structure set up in that community. Like there were clans that were super active, and there were clans that had a reputation for just being like really good, and it was really hard to get into them. But because the community was so small, it was like really significant if one particular player went from this clan to that clan, even though it didn't mean anything. But like everyone knew everyone else who played. Like everyone knew every single other person who played this mod with any degree of regularity, which was probably like I would say like several dozen people. But it really felt like you were part of this like community with a lot of like structure and hierarchy to it. It was probably the most enjoyable time I've ever had, like in an online community, because just everyone knew each other. We would set up tournaments. Like some of the first websites I made were related to that. Just it was weird. It was a really weird thing.
There's probably like 5 people who still play that mod, and they have the most myopic worldview of anyone that's ever existed. Says asshole. No, that's weird online communities are the best.
Yeah,
until they're not.
Yeah, well, they can become not very easily.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. Nick, you got to get back to.
I have 1,000 stories about that, but I'm not going to get into them.
Oh, I thought you.
Oh, you're ending the podcast.
You've got multiple. Oh,
I've got rings. I've got rings to win. I got to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We done?
Write us at questions@idlethumbs.net. Rate us on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter @idlethumbs.
Take care, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Man, I was on the Build a PC subreddit today because I was looking at fucking shit like that. Yeah. And this guy was like, well, I told my wife that she could use our broken Xbox to make our kid's robot costume. And then you click on it, and it's just an image of a full fucking tower, right? With, like, googly, like aluminum robot arms coming out of it, with, like, chips and, like, a fucking Intel chip glued to it, and then, like a Titan class graphics card ripped in half and like on each side, and like a fan up here and like another.
So it just looked like that movie with Matt Damon in it.
Yeah, but
except when that happened, his PC was like kind of apart in his office, and she shredded his $2,500 gaming PC for this like hilarious. There's just a fucking motherboard just like in shambles like with like a
Released a
ball
cute
peen
robot.
hammer next to it, and it was like a
cute robot costume.
I think it was a good robot costume. I'm sure his kid looked adorable.